This is content intended for adults, not for puppies. A dream like cavernous stone, still imperfect. I think this like bar changes. I'm pretty sure there's like two protagonists in this story. So I think whenever this bar on the side changes, it's like the other character. So in the beginning, it was this like turquoise teal color. But then whenever I switched to Julian, it turned like dark, like forest green. But now it's back to turquoise again. So this is the other character. A dream like cavernous stone, still imperfect. Why does everybody think so eloquently? Why does everybody think so eloquently in this universe? The things I once saw was are no more. The things I once saw was are no more. Hey guys, I don't know why I kept hallucinating the word Saul there. It doesn't say Saul. There is Saul nowhere in that sentence. But I guess my brain saw was and like flipped it around and turned it into Saul. Anyway, the line is, the things I once was are no more. Thank you. I don't know why, but the way this is written, it just like fucks my brain and I can't read it. All is peaceful now, all quiet, all unmoving. Pain and desire are denied their domain at last. But even stone in time may shift. Outside me, something stirs. The muddied waters of the world above will be denied no longer. They carve through me, swelling the lightless river within to flow anew. The things of that world, its drowning loudness, its ceaseless, maiming turbulence, its pitiless and sharpened light, all of these things I had gladly surrendered. But I am stone no more. I am returned to flesh, blind and scared and grasping amid the unseen currents. Scourged and weak, there's only one path upwards. I reach, unthinking. Climb. Okay, so now we're climbing. Before he descended, now he's climbed it. Water. From where? I'm too weak to stir, just able to extend my tongue. It flicks weakly across my upper lip, sodden and beaded with moisture. It's unpleasant, chalky and chemical. Ah. Who could forget the bitter rain of Megiddo? Megiddo? Beneath it lies something else, coppery and vile. I am aware of myself as an indistinct cloud of aches. Each ragged breath returns the shapes of my body to me. I shift, my paw brushing against some rough texture. A cushion? Hey guys, he's waking up. My eyelids stick together. I reach up to wipe them. Then recoil and wince as a white-hot bolt of pain shoots down my arm. What the fuck happened to me? My other arm is shaky and unsteady as I reach up to clear my vision. I'm surrounded. I try not to panic, even as I can feel my breath quickening. Well, you're either very lucky or very unlucky. Hard to say if you would have bled out if Julian hadn't found you, but I wouldn't bet on those odds. Lark, Jesus, you literally just woke up. Hey, are you alright? You were hurt pretty bad. My mouth doesn't obey me. I swallow, the sensation dry and unpleasant. Back up, give him some space. Shit, right. What? Where am I? Why does that elk look familiar? Well. You're on our couch, man. It sounded like you got roughed up or something. Or something. Opened your arm right up. It's pretty rough looking. Somebody bite a chunk out of you? I try to recall. There's a sudden vertigo where I find nothing. That I should be able to answer that question. Sorry, I don't know. Don't recall much. I don't know what would have done this. I glance down at my arm as I try and fail to sit up. Jesus, they weren't kidding. The elk steps forward as he sees me fall. Here, let me... I'm fine. I'm not. but I grit my teeth and slowly struggle upwards anyways, the world lurching nauseatingly as I force myself to sit up. I can barely lift my head, so I rest it back against the couch cushion to look at my rescuers. Seriously though, you don't know? Look, if you're on something, it's cool, we're not cops. The edges of my lips quirk upwards. Good to know those muscles still work, I guess. Me neither, but I really don't remember. I mean, hey man, if you don't want to talk about it, just say so. I'm not lying. It comes out more forceful than I intended to. I sigh, rubbing my forehead. Sorry, I'm trying to be helpful, but I don't know. We don't seem like you're on anything. You're too lucid to have been blackout drunk that recently. Your pupils aren't blown out. I would guess something medical with that gown you're wearing, but... That what? I look down. I'm dressed in one of those disposable gowns they wheel you off to surgery in. What the hell? I don't know what this is. I don't know where it came from. There's a note of growing panic in my voice. I tamp down on it, forcing my arms to my lap rather than wrapped around my body to protect me from these strangers. Hey, you've been through a lot. Can I get you some water or something? I peer at him closely. I feel that nagging familiarity again, something coming back to me. Wait. Oh my god. Julian, is that you? His expression freezes. I see flashes of familiar emotion, confusion, then a spark of recognition, and then utter shock. Wait, Ashley? I wince, less internally than I wanted to. I didn't need that right now. It's just Ash these days. It's not exactly hard to notice my deeper voice and leaner torso. He opens his mouth and then closes it without speaking, visibly struggling to reorient himself. A moment later, he found his words. Got it. Sorry. It's fine. Though, about that water, if you got painkillers or anything, I'd be grateful. I've got it. 1 second. The cougar scratches uncertainly behind his ear as the wolverine heads off. Wait, hold up. Y'all know each other? Yeah, I mean, god yeah, we've known each other since we were kids. But it must be, what, 8 or so years since we talked? 8 years. Something about that bothers me, but it gives me a foothold. Something to start finding myself with. 8? Hasn't been that long, has it? 7 or 8 maybe? Closer to 9 if anything. Here. He sets a glass and some capsules on the coffee table. It's cold to the touch and I realize I'm thirsty. Appreciate it. The first sip of cold water is life-giving. As I swallow the pills, I try to do some mental math. It takes some effort, but the effort itself and the water feel like they sharpen me. No, it's only been about 6. It was, what, early junior year of high school that me and Dad ended up moving? Right, so 8 years. That he's managing to mess up such basic math annoys me. No, it isn't. Count again. Yeah, it's 8. My brow furrows and I run through it again. It's not. Ash, what day is today? It's, I don't know, late May-ish? What year? 2247. Okay, this is very distant future. This is very distant future. Well, it's not actually this year, though. 2247. So we were supposed to be the class of 242. 1 year before that was 241. 7 minus 1 is 6, like I've been saying. No, Ash. It's February 5th. 2249. The statement careens cleanly off my skull, my mind refusing to accept it. But still hanging in the air a moment later, the 4 of them staring at me and the expression on my face like I've completely lost my mind. That's... Well, never mind about being lucid. Lark. I'm just saying. Oh, holy shit, dude. This he's gonna need. The voices swell around me and start running together. I can feel myself teetering on the brink, threatening to fall back somewhere terrible and empty. I grit my teeth. My claws nearly pierce my palms. I muscle through it. I won't let them see me like this. Hey, do you have a shower I could use? I feel like I got dragged through a garbage dump. Yeah, all the bedrooms. Just use mine. Second floor, end of the hall. Can Ash walk? Thanks. I move to stand. The room whirls. Julian catches me as I stumble. Ash, are you... Fine. I feel lightheaded. My heart is pounding almost painfully in my chest. I'm not sure if you're fine. Just a little unsteady. Look, here, just let me... I'm too worn out to protest as he gets his arm around my torso to support me. It's at least something to lean against. He's warm. You good? Think so. Come on, one step at a time. His bulk makes it a bit awkward to move together up the stairs. Slowly, we manage. We turn the corner on the upper landing as he ushers me into his room. I manage to at least mostly walk under my own power. I don't glimpse much of his room before we make it into the bathroom. There's so many backgrounds. There's so many backgrounds in this game. There's an impossible number of backgrounds. Huh. Interesting bathroom. What is this? What is this? What is this thing? That's a button that flushes the toilet. What is this? Is this a pepper shaker? I don't know what that is. They have box showers. That's like a robe. Julian wears he wears a bathrobe. Huh. Trash can. Wonder what's over here. I was trying to find something interesting to say about the bathroom. It's a bathroom. That bath sure is a room. He helps me sit down, still clothed on the toilet. I take a minute to catch my breath. Are you sure you're good to shower? We don't have a bath, but last thing I want is to stew in all this. I'll shower sitting if I have to. He doesn't seem too certain about that. I keep from snapping at him, but God, I want to be alone right now. He seems to take the hint. Alright, just please shout if you need anything, okay? I'll see about finding you some clothes. That sounds good. And thanks. It's nothing, really. He departs, shutting the door behind him. I turn the handle to start the shower, then sit heavily on the toilet as I'm finally alone. Whatever this gown is I'm wearing, it gets crumpled up and tossed into the corner. I rest my forearms on my thighs. This doesn't make any sense. People don't just forget 2 years and then wake back up. That doesn't happen. I could eat, but I'm not hungry. So I must have eaten recently. I must have been eating for the last 2 years. My hackles raise. My claws dig into my palms. They've been growing. My fur's been growing. From what? My own body is suddenly and uncomfortably alien. A wave of nausea washes over me. Was I scavenging somehow? Was I held somewhere? Force-fed? I slip from the toilet to the floor, turning and gripping the seat just in time as I retch. I'm able to keep from fully vomiting, but what little fluid I disgorge burns the back of my throat as I do my best to spit it out. Some part of me almost tries to push for it, as if I might find some sort of answer staring back up at me afterwards. I squeeze my eyes shut, feeling cold sweat on my back. Water, I need water. I shift unsteadily to my feet, leaning down to cup water from the sink and spit the vile taste from my mouth. I take a few gulps of clean water afterwards before shutting off the tap and leaning against the sink. Huh. Weird. Okay, so in the beginning of chapter 1, it said that Ash, descended. But then you said he, climbed? Like, I don't know, did he reach, like, the original world somehow? I don't think he could do that. I feel like that'd be difficult to do. Weird. I don't know. And then I make the mistake of looking up. Jesus. No wonder Julian was so concerned. I look like shit. No. Worse than that, I look pathetic, feeble, helpless, and weak. Easy to take pity on. Are those eyes really 2 years older? They don't look any different to me. And yet my gaze strays downwards. The scars beneath my pectorals are thinner and fainter now. Any other time I would have been happy, but... everything about the situation comes washing in again, threatening to pull me under. This can't be happening. Except that it is. I strain myself, trying to remember something, anything. I was lying down, wrapping myself in a blanket? No, a tarp. The recollection drifts from me before I can get anything concrete. God damn it. Deep breaths, Ash. Pull yourself together. Whatever this is, I'll face it. You're not going down without a fight. You're not going to give in. You're not going to collapse and have a big weepy pity party on Julian's bathroom floor. So grit your teeth, harden the fuck up, and take this one step at a time. And the first step is going to be a shower. Great job, Ash. I turn up the heat on the water before taking a deep breath and stepping in. The heat scourges me and I welcome it, turning it higher still as I try to catch my breath. Head bowed, eyes closed, jaws wide and panting raggedly, I let the spray pound against me. I slowly still the trembling in my treacherous limbs. Water runs down my body, cleansing me of unknown sediment. I stand still until it runs clear. Sometime later, I crack the door into Julian's room and end up wedging it against a neat pile of clothing just in front of the bathroom door. It looks close enough to my size. Solves one problem, I guess. There's also a spare interface. I slot into the back of my skull before anything else. It's been factory reset. Strange that they can afford to just have a spare lying around, but that's not really the most urgent question I have right now. The upper floor is eerily quiet as I step out into the hall. All of the bedroom doors are closed. It must be pretty late. I feel awkward standing around in a stranger's home. Maybe thinking of Julian as a stranger at this point is unkind. Then again, maybe it's not. It's been 8 years. The sounds of a TV from downstairs at least give me something to steer towards. I flip through the channels listlessly, but I'm not really paying attention. It's so much to take in all at once. Ash still being alive would have been a shock by itself. But on top of that, there's the missing memory. And, well, the fact that I correct myself, ashamed of not getting it right before realizing I'm not even sure, has changed. What happened? Where have they been? Are they okay? I don't know how to deal with it all at once. And I can't even imagine how they must feel. But I know that if I were in their shoes, I would want some answers. So, here I am waiting for them, I guess, even though I should really be in bed by now. My ear twitches as I catch footsteps coming down the stairs. They look better, at least. Hey. Hey. An uncertain silence stretches out. Right, there's at least simple things I can tell them. Sleeping arrangements. Look, I didn't exactly get the chance earlier, so thanks. I don't know what happened, but it sounds like it could have been a hell of a lot worse if you hadn't found me. And also, thanks for the clothes. You've all been more kind, and you don't owe me anything, so... You've all been more than kind, and you don't owe me anything, so... I should probably just get going. Where? They can't be serious. What? Jesus, no. I mean, not that you can't. You can, obviously. But we all talk things over. If you're saying you really don't remember the last 2 years, then you don't even know where to go back to. Besides that, you're hurt. It's not the comfiest thing in the world, but we got the couch. You're welcome to crash here for the night. Tomorrow morning, I figure we can reach out to your dad. His expression darkens. No. Sorry, that's not an option. Wait, what? There's a story there, and it's obviously not one they want to talk about. I pick my words carefully. Okay, in that case, the other idea was, well, that I can walk you to the clinic nearby. Maybe it's just my imagination, but they seem to bristle a bit at that. Look, I'm not going to pretend that I really know what's going on, but you're hurt. Bad. And that's just your arm. Besides, the whole situation. I have the day off. It's no trouble, really. It takes them a moment, but they seem to ease a bit. That makes sense. And, thanks again. It's nothing. That same awkward silence descends again. There's a rough and jagged chasm of years between us in that small room. I'm not sure if I can say I actually know the person in front of me anymore. They've clearly been through horrible things, maybe things that I don't have any particular right to know. Is it just sentimentality? 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 Sorry, we're lingering on this word for a bit. Sentimentality. Is it just sentimentalism to want to help them? Can I really say that I would do the same if they were a complete stranger? I don't know what it is that I hope for, but I can only take things one step at a time. We can talk tomorrow too. I'd like to catch up. It's been forever. But it's late. Guess it's a busy day tomorrow, so... Probably gonna head up. Let me know if you need anything. Will do. See you tomorrow, Ash. See you tomorrow. I get up from the couch, the stairs squeaking slightly under my bulk as I climb upwards. There's really nothing to distract myself as I turn in, and so I end up just lying in bed and staring at the ceiling. How much have things changed in the last 12 hours? Maybe not that much, if Ash ends up moving on quickly. It might all just be a strange one-off incident, nothing more than a good story once the shock is worn off. Somehow, I don't think life will be so simple. But for some reason, the fact doesn't bother me as I begin to drift off. That night, I dream of rain. The sun's still ascending towards the roof of the dome when we start walking over to a nearby diner that Julian swears by. Is this still chapter 1? When does chapter 1 end? He recommends the hash browns. It's his treat, not that there's any alternative. I managed to access my account since slotting the second-hand interface. Doesn't look like I mysteriously made my fortune while I was missing. Flat zeros across the board. There's so many backgrounds. At least the diner itself doesn't go too hard into the retro aesthetic. I always find that sort of thing depressing. Shut up, Ash. How many decades have we spent imitating a dead world? Not even most of it, at that. But I guess their concept of a retro aesthetic would be, like, different from our concept of a retro aesthetic. Just a single cup of water drawn up from the ocean, sealed down here in the dark to grow stagnant. Huh. We slide into a booth in a quiet corner. I am more than hungry. I'm starving. I think I'd kill someone for a stack of pancakes. But my arm's still fucked up enough that I wouldn't exactly be able to eat them without somebody else cutting them up. I get the breakfast burrito. Julian gets a plate of sausage, eggs, and of course, hash browns. Pretty good coffee. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's some actual coffee shops around here, but the coffee here's better than it has any right to be for the price. It's kind of a funny story. I asked the staff one time if there was anything they put in it. I feel like the flavor's just a little out there. But the guy I talked to said it just arrives here in cartons from corporate. He had no idea. Ha. Yeah. So, can we talk? Yeah. There's a lot I'm curious about, not just the last 2 years, but before that, when you originally went missing. I suck air in through my teeth. There's no squirming out of this one. I guess I owe you an apology. You guess? Well, what's the guess? Do you or don't you? That answer needles me. I know I'm being shitty before I even open my mouth. If you're gonna be like that, then I don't. Be like what? Jesus Christ, I just wanna know what happened. My best friend in the whole world moves away. He stops responding to anything I said. I get worried about... My best friend in the whole world moves away. He stops responding to anything I send. I get worried enough to reach out to your family and they say you're just gone. Was I supposed to just not care? We held a funeral for you, Ash. That one bites deep. I probably deserve it. The image isn't hard to conjure, and I remember how he was back then. Poor Julian, too small for the other kids at first, then too sensitive and too obviously gay even after he hit his growth spurt. But I'm realizing that the memory I have of that quiet boy is very different from the full-grown man across from me, ready to point out when I'm being an asshole. Which is right now. I sigh. I do owe you an apology for how things went down back then, for being pissy about it just now. I can tell you what happened since then. I owe you that much. I just don't know where to start. Then start at the beginning. It's a tall order. I try to collect myself, drinking deep from and then staring down into the black well of my coffee. I guess it all goes back to... I don't know if we really saw all of how things went with Mom getting sick. I mean, pretty bad from what I remember. Yeah, she was, out of it. So of course that was the focus for me and Dad. Why wouldn't it be? And of course, when she was getting worse, he focused on her more. Yeah, it kind of sucked being a bit of an afterthought. But, even as a kid, I got it, But after she passed, after we had to move down to the well, it was like he never really came back. Never really noticed me again. But then a year later, 10 months. 10 months later, he remarried. And I still missed her. And everything I thought I had. His wife had kids. Dad loved her and loved her kids. And I was also there. Like a reminder. Like a ghost haunting the living. So yeah, I left. I'm not saying it was right or smart. It was pretty fucking stupid considering how things turned out. But it's what I did. Oh, Ash. But why did you stop answering? It would have helped. My folks would have helped. The answers slip out before I can stop it. Because I wanted to disappear. I don't know. Everywhere I try to explain it will sound more insane. It was like if I had dwindled into nothing. Had to start over. I had to be somebody else. Somebody completely new, no matter what it cost. And that was also when I was going through some gender stuff, which probably didn't help. I gestured down at myself. Guess you noticed. The edge of his mouth quirked slightly. I might have. Well, you were always sharp. There's something nearly approaching a smile. Is it offensive or anything, if I can kind of see it in retrospect? Maybe not. But if it is, then just this once I'll let it slide. It actually gets a laugh out of him. Okay, so what then? Then, I don't know, bounced around. Didn't finish high school, obviously. They still have high school. Had a few shitty jobs. Sometimes had a home. Sometimes was on the streets. Mostly that second one. Disappearing wasn't exactly as daring as romantic as I thought it'd be. Mostly it just sucked. By the time I'd figured that out, it felt like too much time had passed. So, that's me, I guess. I am sorry, but it's been a ride. Jesus. I'm so sorry, Ash. I don't really know how to respond to that. I end up just nodding awkwardly. It is what it is. Sucks, but it's all years ago now. Even more years for Julian, reminded with a tinge of nausea. I'm as used to it as I'm gonna get. What about you? It's been forever. And I want to know what you've been up to, too. I'm almost a little surprised I find that I mean it. Well, not as much to say by comparison, I guess. I finished up high school. Mom and Dad do pretty alright for themselves. But the Polytechnic was never going to be in the cards, obviously. I did at least end up staying another 2 years for my advanced studies certificate. Quantitative, you know, the usual. Should've just saved my money on that front, honestly. Didn't really open as many doors as I thought it would. So, I bounced around jobs for a year or two, scraped together some savings. Between that, loans, and Mom and Dad helping, I ended up getting Gen 2s installed. My eyes widened, not really sure why. It's about what I would expect, given his background. Just something about the thought of him laying down on the operating table as they cut into him. Huh, so what do you do with them these days? I run sanitation drones. It's nothing too glamorous, but it's been steady work. I was actually looking for one that had gone dark when I found you. The reminder that he's the one that found me stirs some complicated feelings I'm not sure I'm ready for. Actually, about that. I did find that drone I was looking for, right near you. But it wasn't broken or powered down or anything. I can't really explain what happened or how it got there, besides some one-in-a-million glitch. You sure you can't remember anything leading up to when we found you? Suddenly a flash of recollection. The dark of night, climbing that chain-link fence, with terrible certainty. With terrible intent. Oh god. Yeah? Shit, no, I'm not going there with them. I really can't remember what happened, I'm sorry. Oh. My heart's pounding, did you notice? Surely you didn't notice. Well, maybe you'll find some medical records the clinic can pull up. Looked like you were wearing a hospital gown or something. It's just a generic brand when I checked. Maybe? Anyway, what about those other guys back at the house? You all seem pretty close. Oh god, guess you didn't even get their names, huh? Yeah, I think they've all been around for at least a few years. Where do I even start? Okay, we have a decision. We have a decision, guys. We're overriding that save. There's only 3 saves. Oh, you can scroll down. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, there's only 3 saves. You can scroll down. Here. Here. Okay, back to questions simulator. Okay, who should Ash ask about? It's interesting because, like, Ash is asking about, like, the other folks here. But it's also, like, even though previously we were occupying the perspective of Julian, who already had knowledge and pretense as to who everyone is, and didn't really have any, like, reason to reiterate that so we could, like, learn as a reader more about those characters. Now that we're occupying Ash's perspective, who doesn't know anything about those characters, it can be used as an opportunity to, like, further inform the reader about who those characters are as well. So that's interesting. I wonder if it's gonna let us... I wonder if we're only going to be able to hear about one of them, or... Because it's giving us 3 decisions. So, do we only get to hear about one? Do you only get 1 character description per playthrough? Or is it just going to make us go through all of them anyway? In which case, I'm sort of surprised there isn't, like, a skip button, right? I'm surprised there isn't, Actually, I don't want to ask about anyone. Let's do, the cat real skinny guy. So that's Lark. Who is the big guy? The Wolverine. Who's the cougar? Who am I most curious about? I'm sure Alex has nothing interesting going on. He's just a guy. Alex is just a guy. Lark is interesting. They're interesting. But also... They're interesting, but also... Like... They're so interesting that they loop back around into being uninteresting, and I don't really care anymore. But what's the deal with the mirror? Oh, you mean a mirror? Yeah, way back when I got the Gen 2s installed, we ended up being in some of the same physical therapy and rehab groups afterwards. We ended up hitting it off pretty well, and of course we were both going to work in the same area, so we were both looking for housemates around the same time. It just made sense. They are roommates. Or housemates. Poor guy, he's had the most rotten luck of anyone I know. He got messed up at work like a year and a half ago. Can't even use the Gen 2s anymore. Okay, so that's all that happened to him. Like, that sucks, right? But, like, I don't know. The way they were describing, like, the danger and stuff associated with it, I just assumed, like, Amir had some accident with the Gen 2s that, like, left him, like, paralyzed or something. But no, Amir's fine. He can move and walk and stuff. He just has, like, as he put it, a useless hunk of metal in his back. Which still sucks, but you know, he can walk, right? And that's cool. He can't even use the Gen 2s anymore. Well, he said he tried once out of desperation and just started seizing and vomiting immediately. Jesus. Yeah. God, I was so pissed at him after that. There's some lingering pain issues, too. He has some pretty bad days sometimes. Oh, there's phantom pain. Works as a cook at this bar nearby, while he's been fighting to get some kind of compensation for what happened. It hasn't been going great. The job or the fight? Either. And that's before the more recent stuff. You can thank him for the clothes. They were Derek's. No prompt to ask more about Derek. Okay, so we're gonna have to ask about all the characters anyway. It just gives us the privilege of deciding what order. What's Alex's deal? Oh, Alex? You don't recognize him? Should I? Maybe not. He went to our high school, but I guess we didn't really start hanging out until senior year. We both stuck around to get our advanced certificates. He's a smart guy. Believe it or not, he actually got into Megiddo Polytechnic afterwards. No shit? Yeah, but, the cost ended up not really being sustainable, even with the loans he was able to get. Had to leave after one semester. I never really got all the details, but it's a sore subject. Anyway, we sort of drifted in and out of contact a bit. Ended up reconnecting more around when I was looking to rent a place. He works for a marketing firm these days. Definitely the life of the party. Always seems to know people. I've never seen him on the job, but I bet he's pretty good at it. Last month, he got us into this warehouse rave down in the well. You ever been to one of those? Down in the well. So is that like is that the lower layer? Is that like the poor people layer? No. Yeah. But yeah, good dude. Easy to get along with. What about the cat? Real skinny guy. Well, I mean, non-binary, actually. Goes by they. But yeah, that'd be Lark. We met in the exchange around when I was doing my advanced certificate, when, he glances around nervously, making sure nobody can overhear. Around when I started getting involved in jailbroken instances. Wait, seriously? You? Aren't those all just, like, for weird porn and stuff that they don't let you do on official instances? No, I mean, yes, there is that, but it's not at all like that. It's, I can't even explain it. It's art. It's freedom. It's the most incredible medium that's ever been created. Most of the time, we just use it for nothing. Like, who cares if you can simulate a steak or a soccer game you couldn't afford to live to see? Couldn't afford to see live. Where was this level of passion back in high school? So, you're an artist these days, I guess? I mean, I guess. So's Lark. Like I said, that's sort of how we met. They're incredibly talented. There's a bit of a community for that sort of thing. Just don't ask about their day job. That's also in the exchange, but it's in official instances. They simulate concerts. Kind of a rotating list of popular bands. There's some boy band they've had to do for the last couple months that they're sick to death of. Grim. Yeah. Anyway, they're a good friend. They can just be a bit of an acquired taste. Uh-huh. Well, you'll see what I mean, I guess. But they're a good person, I can vouch for that. However much that means to you. Oh, here we go. Wait, who's Derek? You said these are Derek's clothes? Was he not around yesterday? I was wondering. It didn't look like anybody there was my size. And I'm surprised you just had a spare interface lying around. No, Ash, he's Amir's boyfriend. Or he was, I don't know. About 2 months ago, he went missing. Not a word to us or Amir, nothing to his family, nothing in the morgues. We searched high and low, it's like he just vanished into thin air. Like he just disappeared. Like I did. That's awful, I'm so sorry. He was a good friend, kind in a way you don't normally see. But I feel worse for Amir. They were good together. He just hasn't been the same since. Anyway. So cool! So cool art. What's this? Green. It's Soylent Green. It's mustard and Soylent Green, guys. The rest of the meal passes in relative quiet. I'm not sure how I feel about wearing a dead man's clothes. No one said they were dead, Ash. No one said they were dead. One foot in the grave, another on a banana peel. That's what happened, anyway. Well, it's a hard world. People go missing sometimes. Not all of them get found. We're waiting for the bill when Julian speaks up again. Hey, I just wanted to say this was nice. As wild as this whole situation is, I really am glad that you're back. I've missed this. I remember the two of us at a diner not terribly unlike this one, years and years ago. 2 or 3 a.m. maybe, talking about nothing, but really talking about everything. Yeah. So you still keep up with the guitar? God. Suddenly remembering the whole garage band era. Oh geez, haven't thought about that in a million years. Not really, if I'm being honest. It was alright, but I don't think music was ever really my thing when you get down to it. I guess I'd say I've kind of found different outlets, since with the exchange stuff and all. Oh. What about you? Keep up with God, I'm an asshole. Sorry, was it Taekwondo? Okay, so this is like a flashback now, right? This is a flashback? Boxing, and well, I've had a lot else going on. Oh, right. Okay, that was a flashback. It's very obvious it was a flashback, but it was blended so seamlessly into the actual scene that for a second I was like, is this the awkwardness that we momentarily defeated descends once more. It was a stupid subject to bring up. We're not kids anymore, and I realize that. And I realize that in most ways that matter. I really don't know the man in front of me. Mercifully, the check arrives. He pays, of course, and we head out. Dot. The sidewalk narrows enough that we can't walk side by side. Julian's a tall man, and it's easy to fall behind his long strides. I'm light on my feet, and there's plenty of noise around us. I could slip away in an instant. I don't need to suffer his charity. I don't need to be known. I could just as easily be a ghost story, a specter that returned for a day and a night and was never seen again. I did it once. I can do it again. It would be easy. We're drawing close to a narrow alleyway. I can feel the ground under my feet, keenly conscious of each individual step. I can feel the cool air on my face. I can feel what's coming for me if I walk forward. The pain and failure and sorrow are as certain as being born. I don't want it. I don't want to be hurt. And yet, fool that I am, as heavy laden as I've grown with the weight of my mistakes, I prepare to make one more. The alley passes by. and my feet carry me forward. The clinic's waiting room is cramped but clean. Check-in goes without incident, and it's apparently a slow day since the wait is only 2 hours or so. Of course, the waiting room's full of other people, so I don't think either of us really feel like picking up our conversation from the diner. We do make some small talk, but after a while, Julian just sits back in his chair and gets involved with something or other on his interface. I start plowing through some old magazines, but sneak the occasional glance at him. I was flicking occasionally to read or track something that I can't see. Something about it raises my hackles. Whatever's on there can't be more important than what's actually around him. I do eventually relent and plug my borrowed interface into the port at the back of my skull, briefly catching up on the news over the last 2 years. Every individual headline seems like the end of the world, but I don't get the impression that anything's really changed. Go figure, I guess. Finally, they call my name. Well, good luck. I'll be waiting out here. Thanks. Huh. The arm, at least, is straightforward enough. They end up touching up the sealant in places, but it's expected to heal normally. Mentioning that I'm missing 2 years of my life, however, gets a more alarmed reaction. A few harried assistants ferry me around from one test to another. I sit, stand, raise my arms, lower them, have a variety of scans and measurements taken. They even have me enter the exchange for a while. It's a pretty simple test instance, and they seem satisfied with my ability to navigate it. Still, then they want me to submit to a full body scan, and it's another wait before I can lay back in the machine. Fluorescent lights uncomfortably bright above as I'm fed into it. Finally, I'm sat in an exam room, fingertips drumming on my thigh. I don't know what I'm more afraid of, that they're going to tell me my brain is rotting from the inside out, or that I made the whole thing up. I get the customary knock without waiting for a response, as someone finally enters. Ash Kalberg, right? Yeah, that's me. She stares into the middle distance for a moment, presumably going through my file. Well, you've got quite a lot going on. We've only got 15 minutes. Let's get to it. This is a girl voice, I assure you. Things are looking about as good as can be with the arm. Keep an eye out for any discoloration. Don't pick at the sealant. I'm guessing you'd rather spend our time on the other issues. Yeah. So, just to review. You woke up late yesterday. As far as you can tell, you have no recollection of the past 2 years, but otherwise no other cognitive or memory-related symptoms? That's about the speed of it, yeah? I'll be honest with you. The symptoms you're describing are incredibly unusual, and I think you're going to be on a long road to a diagnosis. You mentioned waking up wearing a hospital gown, but I'm afraid nothing came up in the medical records for you over the past 2 years. As far as the test results, your brain is fine. Higher than expected baseline activity, even on the sections where you were meant to relax, but you've been through a lot. I definitely wasn't thinking much during those parts. I'm still kinda tired, and the break was nice, if anything. Well, whatever. Weird. That's weird. So we can rule out most directly physical causes. Your blood work all came back pretty normal too. I'm seeing you have a hormonal regulator installed, which seems to be working fine. Your exchange port, on the other hand. It's important to understand issues on that front are very, very rare, outside of damage to the hardware itself. We see 2 Gen 2 issues fairly regularly, of course. It's newer technology. It's massively higher physical and cognitive throughput? It's massively higher physical and cognitive throughput, and so on. That's obviously not related to your case. But the machine-to-thought form exchange is much older, much more thoroughly tested and iterated on technology. To tell you the truth, we really only run those diagnostics as a formality. And yours came back strange. My throat tightens. Strange how? Well, that's the tough part. You passed all the basic functionality checks. There's no reason to expect you shouldn't be able to use it, bud. Really, the test we run is just asking the implant to return any self-diagnostic codes and pulling up what we've got from Harthen corresponding to the codes. Either way, it's able to return a code that we look up, or it returns nothing, and we know it's just dead. which is at least a pretty simple problem to diagnose. Yours is the first case I'm aware of where what we got back was junk data, not interpretable, which I usually guess to mean that it's slightly different kind of dead, except you passed the basic functionality test. When they had you in the exchange for those tests, you didn't feel anything unusual, right? A worsening of symptoms? No, nothing. So we at least don't have any reason to believe the exchange usage itself is a risk. That exchange usage itself is a risk. I can feel an itching at the back of my neck. I want to get up and pace and knock things over like a wild animal. What the hell is this supposed to mean? Okay, so you were talking about standard diagnostic codes, right? So exchange implant problems happen. So exchange implant problems happen. So we can just change it out for a new one, right? Or hell, take it out of me entirely? The overwhelming majority of the time, these codes are resolved with a software update. Not relevant in your case, since you're current. Otherwise, it's usually just damage to the external, replaceable sections of the hardware. I have to stress again, this is extremely well-tested, safe technology. Cognitive effects like what you're suffering from are practically unheard of, and of course, external parts wouldn't be relevant to that. As far as removing it, presuming you got it in elementary school as standard, you're talking about something that's been fully integrated into major sections of your brain through many major developmental stages. The damage and the resulting effects of removing it would be catastrophic. The procedure exists, but there isn't a medical ethics board in Megiddo that would approve it outside of a case of life or death. So I'm just stuck with this? For the present, you seem to be stable, so let's hope that persists while we look at next steps. The other possibility, to cover all our bases, is that the implant issues are unrelated and we're dealing with a case of dissociative amnesia. On that front, there's little we can do outside of therapy supporting your adjustment through this period, and hoping that you begin to recover your memory and experience reduced symptoms with time. So, we probably want to hit both fronts. Get you set up with a therapist, and then also refer your case to a specialist that may be able to better address the exchange port issues. That sound good? Yeah, sure. Okay, let's see. She gets that distant look again as she presumably reads the schedule. As far as the therapist, we've got some openings in September. For the specialist, we're probably looking at January next year. The blood drains from me. You can't be serious. She looks at me. She's sympathetic. And I wonder just how many versions of this exact conversation she's had. This person cannot help me. I'm afraid so. The sooner we can get you on the waiting list, the sooner we can get you seen. Do September 26th and January 14th work for you? Sure, whatever. The confirmation message pings in my interface. Okay, try to keep an eye on any changes in symptoms. We've got about 3 minutes left. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about? No, thanks. I'm good. Okay, then we'll see you back here in September. And good luck. Huh. So once they get these, ports installed, they can't take them out? Or if you get them installed really young, you can't take them out? That's interesting. That's interesting. Huh. Weird. Okay, so they're the overwhelming majority of the time, those codes are resolved with a software update. Otherwise, it's damage to the external replaceable sections of the hardware. As far as removing it, presuming you got it in elementary school as standard, you're talking about something that's been fully integrated into major sections of your brain through many developmental stages. The damage and the resulting effects of removing it would be catastrophic. So, everybody gets these ports installed, in elementary school before their brain fully develops, which makes removing it very dangerous, right? Which makes removing it from your body very dangerous. but essentially these ports can't be removed, but they can be, like, replaced, but not completely. They can't be removed, but they can be ship of Theseus. These ports can't be removed, but they can be ship of Theseus. Huh. They can have their parts replaced in order to, like, fix them if they're dead, but they can't actually be removed. And good luck. Thanks. I feel like they may as well have just operated on me as I amble up to the checkout counter, defeated. Hello. Okay, looks like we've got you for follow-ups on January 26th and January 14th. That all correct? Yeah. Great, so there's a few different tests we needed to bill. Your total for today is going to be 28,000 points. I blanch. I don't know how you say that. Jesus, that could have been most of a month's rent. I've got it. I open my mouth to object. And do what? Go, no thanks. I'd rather just stand here and completely fuck whatever this new start is before it even begins. For what? So I close my mouth and I let him pay. As I follow in his wake, as we head towards the exit. So, how'd it go? Well, I hope they let you get your money back on that. Hey, speaking of which, thanks. No worries, but what do you mean? They have no idea. There's some issues with my exchange implant, but they don't really know what. Can't see a specialist for it until January. Or I'm just going crazy, but not like in a normal way. Jesus. That sucks, I'm sorry. It is what it is. The walk afterwards is quiet, and of course I realize we're heading back to his house. Hey, you've already done a lot for me, and I'm grateful. I really am. But you don't, I'm up and moving. I can get going and figure things out. Ash, you don't have anywhere to go. You said as much. At least wait for long enough to figure out what's next, okay? There's no room for an argument to squirm through. Not any good ones anyway. I sigh. Alright, well, thanks again. It's nothing. I pause as we get to the door. Is it alright if I just take a nap? I think I'm still a bit out of it. Yeah, there's gonna be folks downstairs for a while, so just use my room. I'm gonna be busy anyway. I need to talk to them about something. Alright, well, see you in a bit then. See you later. Mercifully, I don't end up encountering anyone else on the way up to Julian's room. The couch was fine, but I think I could just about cry with relief at the prospect of sleeping in an actual bed. What a fucking day. My shoulders slump a bit as the door closes behind me. I'm half tempted to just collapse into bed in my clothes, but I at least take the time to pull off my outerwear. Huh. So I wonder what happened with Ash. So, there could have been some person, some entity that, like, somehow has the power to, like, manipulate exchange ports and stuff. So they, like, did something fucky-wucky to Ash's exchange port to, like, fuck with his memories or something. Right? They put some weird, like... They put some weird, like, undocumented software in Ash's exchange port to, like, suppress his memories. And they, like, encrypted the software with some weird encryption method, and that's why they got back junk data whenever they tried to, like, run diagnostics on it or whatever. I don't know. Something like that. Or other weird stuff happened. Or other weird stuff happened. Who knows? I'm half tempted to just collapse into the bed in my clothes, but at least take the time to pull off my outerwear. There's no hood on the jacket, unlike the one Julian was wearing. Guess he just likes the look, what with the antlers and all. Now that I think about it, I can see a few scratches they must have left in the headboard. This world just isn't built for you, huh, Julian? I get that feeling. My eyes wander from the bed, and I can't help but look around. Unsurprisingly, Julian's room is kept neat. I guess some things don't change. In the same vein, I can see a few pre-Exodus prints and photos hung up. Pre-Exodus. But then, a few look off. I walk closer, curious. It takes me a second to realize that some of these must be pictures taken in the exchange. My gaze flicks from one to the next. Julian's imagination lingers on the natural world pre-Exodus, but isn't limited to it. Impossible landscapes stretch across the small prints. Just who have you been growing up into all these years apart? There's a few pictures of Julian's family and the other housemates on the dresser. One catches my eye, and my brow furrows as I pick it up. Oh. That must be him then. Derek. This picture is so fuzzy. Everything's so fuzzy in this picture. Everything's so fuzzy. Who drew this? Who drew this, and why did they make everything so fuzzy? That must be him then, Derek. Derek. Poor guy, him and the Wolverine, Amir. It's one thing just to hear about him from Julian, but knowing that I'm wearing his clothes, there's something deeply uncomfortable about seeing him. And remembering Julian's sadness when talking about him. I don't want to think about this right now. He's like a bunny rabbit? I think he's a bunny rabbit. I think he's a bunny rabbit. I sigh and put the picture back down. It's not like there's anything I can do for him. And I won't be able to do anything for myself if I don't get some rest either. I shed my remaining clothes and crawl into Julian's bed, pulling the covers over me. Bone-deep weariness hits me all at once. The faint whir of the air conditioning is a relief in its mundanity. I breathe out slowly and let it pull me under.